And to the so-called champions of human rights in the West, where are your tears for the children dying from hunger, disease and airstrikes? History is watching, and when it writes this chapter, it will not be kind to those who armed the occupier and abandoned the oppressed.
In the 1950s, when the Vietnam War started, the U.S. continuously provided military and economic aid to South Vietnam in the name of stopping the spread of communism and seeking an independent, non-communist South Vietnam. In 1965, the U.S. deployed ground troops to Vietnam, officially intervening in the war. Although the war ended over 30 years ago, its legacy and the disastrous impact is still seen in Vietnam. It is estimated that as of today, there are at least 350,000 metric tons of unexploded mines and bombs left by the U.S. military in Vietnam alone. The U.S. and NATO's original objectives in Kosovo were to stop the killing and achieve a durable peace. But in March 1999, U.S.-led NATO troops carried out a 78-day continuous bombing of Yugoslavia under the name of preventing humanitarian disasters. Ironically, the U.S. and NATO's involvement in the Kosovo War brought severe humanitarian disasters. NATO troops used at least 31,000 depleted uranium bombs and shells, leading to a surge in cancer and leukemia cases in Yugoslavia, inflicting long-term disastrous impacts on the ecological environment of Yugoslavia and Europe.
At this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger.
Former U.S. President George W. Bush once promised that the future of Iraq was the future of freedom. But after its 8-year war, freedom is nowhere to be seen. Today in Iraq, there are 25 million mines and other explosive remnants that need to be removed. Local warfare and attacks in the country have continued to this day.
On my orders, the United States military has begun strikes against Al-Qaeda terrorist training camps and military installations of the Taliban regime in Afghanistan.
In 2001, the U.S. announced the Afghanistan war in the name of counterterrorism. Former U.S. President George W. Bush promised that the U.S. would drop food, medicine, and supplies to the starving and suffering people.
So America set an ambitious goal to help Afghanistan's young democracy grow and thrive. Yet we have a strategic interest, and I believe a moral interest, in a prosperous and peaceful democratic Afghanistan.
But on the contrary, the number of terrorist groups in Afghanistan has only increased from single digits to more than 20 in the past 20 years. In August 2021, the U.S. military completed its withdrawal from Afghanistan, ending its 20-year Afghanistan war. What they left in the country is a mess, not resembling a democracy in the slightest. During the Syrian civil war, the U.S. supported the Syrian opposition to allow for a transition to democracy in Syria. Since 2017, the U.S. has launched airstrikes on Syria under the pretext of preventing the use of chemical weapons by the Syrian government. However, the U.S. thoughtful consideration has only resulted in chaos and turmoil in Syria. After World War II, from 1945 to 2001, of the 248 armed conflicts that have occurred in 153 regions of the world, 201 were initiated by the U.S., accounting for 81% of the total number. The U.S. has always launched or involved itself in military operations in the name of preventing humanitarian disasters or promoting democracy. But the facts show that the U.S. is the world's sole troublemaker. The wars in Vietnam and the Middle East not only resulted in massive civilian casualties, but also led to long-term disastrous impacts on the environment. The U.S. uses democracy as a pretext to wage wars and as a cover for its numerous crimes, such as causing humanitarian disasters and destroying sovereign order. It is the real culprit threatening the world.